News to hand. Now, we're still checking the details on what I'm about to announce. And I'll be honest, I actually felt like playing this music instead. Because that's more morbid. But we need to tell you what we've heard so far. Many of Goliath Ventures investors are saying the same thing. Their payouts have not arrived. The only explanation being pushed out is the word audit. Now, I need to be really clear about this. A real audit does not freeze accounts. A real audit does not stop payments. A real audit has no power to block withdrawals. So either we are wrong, and this is just a huge misunderstanding, or this is exactly the warning I've been giving everyone for weeks and months. At the same time, several investors say they cannot find Christopher. Some believe he's left the country. We're still checking on this, and we're not jumping to any conclusions. But the silence from the leadership team is very concerning. We're going to go through what we know and what we don't know, and also what has been reported so far. We will show you the anonymous audit letter that came to us weeks ago, September the 12th, for example. Now, we didn't publish this letter because at the time we couldn't verify it. And to be honest, we still can't verify it, but it's just such a funny letter. I have to share it with somebody, and I've been waiting for the opportune time. So we're also asking for anyone who has any additional information. Now, the audit letter that I'm talking about actually came to us via our website, and I'm going to show you what that looks like so you know. So when you're on debunked.com, you can click on Contact Us, and you can send us anonymous information, which helps us in our investigation. However, some of the anonymous information is so anonymous, we can't prove its validity. I hope I said that right word. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this, and this is an investor update. I've prepared this so I get it correct. And I want to explain what we know and what we don't know, and why Goliath Ventures freezing payouts is a major warning sign. And my goal is simple, to give you clarity. So if you are an investor, unfortunately I heard from some investors just yesterday, and it was after I did the video on Stephen, goodness me, I've forgotten his name. Stephen, we'll have to look that up. 1 minute, please, caller. We'll go back to here, and it was after I did the video on Stephen Davis, the fire chief who walked out of the firehouse and straight into the financial inferno. So investors keep asking the same questions. Can an audit freeze the payouts? Because that's the only thing we've got to go on at the moment. So if you haven't been keeping up with current events, all investor funds have been frozen. And the only whispers that we've heard is the fact that the audit is the reason for it. So that question, can an audit freeze payouts? Well, the answer is just a small little word called no. A financial audit, even a forensic audit, does not freeze bank accounts, does not stop withdrawals, block investments payments. Auditors don't have the authority to do that. Have you ever heard of it? I haven't. If you have, I'd love to know. If withdrawals stops, it means the company has chose to stop them, or a bank froze the accounts, or a regulator interfered, or law enforcement issues the hold. Now, just recently, we showed you two really interesting bits of information. First information here was a letter. Oh my goodness, I've forgotten when this one was done. I think from memory, it was 5 months ago. But here they talked about, dear valued partners, we are pleased to share some exciting news as we continue to grow and elevate the global Goliath Ventures platform. We have officially partnered with Merrill Lynch Bank of America to handle our future banking and custodial needs. So that was 5 months ago. I think that was in May. I'm dyslexic. I literally do not know the months of the year. Then we get a different letter, which is in a different font, which is delivered to investors because the investors gave it to us, so we know it's true. And we can see that it's poorly written, kind of like the letter that you would write on a laptop on your knee, perhaps when you're at the nightclub buying expensive bottles of champagne. And in this letter, they explain in full transparency how they've had to find a new banking partner. So that's kind of interesting, right? And this would also insinuate things are going real bad. When a company says we can't pay you because of an audit, that's not a real explanation. Withdrawals freeze for one reason. The money is no longer available. How long a genuine audit normally takes, we thought we'd cover that. Now, what I've done is, we've had information overload today. Lots of information have come in. I can't tell you all of it, but I can tell you that investors are are very angry, and they feel like they've been duped. They really thought that they could get 60% return on their investment per year, and they just had to give it to somebody who used to work at In-N-Out Burger, and everything was going to be good. Even though they've been listening to us, they've been hoping that they won the lotto ticket. And some people, I've heard, have taken out all their retirement money and put it all into Goliath Ventures Inc. So if you are still hanging on to hope with dear life, you need to know if they're using the audit as an excuse to why funds have stopped, then you've got to listen to this. A proper audit normally takes 8 to 16 weeks or longer. All right. And during that time, business continues operating. Staff still get paid. Vendors still get paid. Investors still receive returns. An audit does not shut down a functioning company. Only liquidity problems shut down a company. So now we're going to go straight into the part where I want to tell you about this audit letter that we received on the 12th of September. Now, I said to my Avengers, I said, look, we can't even publish this. We can't even use this. We felt like it was propaganda. We felt like that if we published this, it would lose credibility for the intel that we get. And I want to make it extremely clear, I cannot see Christopher even sending this letter. However, it's kind of appropriate now for me to show it to you guys. First of all, as I just pointed out, this letter that we received didn't match the normal format, and I'll show you it, and you can see. It was completely different style. The logo was to the left. The way they set out the heading was completely different. And the wording of the letter was absolutely striking. It talked about Ponzi scheme detection, fraud investigation, fraudulent conveyances, loss of profit analysis, economy damage analysis. Heavy companies do not use that so healthy companies do not use that type of language. And it was actually that bad that we didn't want to show you, but I am going to show you. I just want to finish this introduction. It said the payout freezes. So what we do know right now, I can even put the music on, but I won't do that. Payments that were due on the 14th have been missed. Investors have been met with silence. The official excuse is the audit. There has been no evidence of trading, no blockchain activity shown, no mining shown, no liquidity proof, no insurance proof, and no verification of is it surplus funds?
Surplus.
Surplus funds. And they did hold a Calm the Farm webinar, which they sent out to their investors, and that was going to be 45 minutes long. And that lasted 12 minutes long. So this is a company that is fighting the fire, as Steve Davis would know all about. So, and in that 12-minute meeting, there was no documents, no charts, and no proof of anything. Just trust us, bro. And this is exactly how a collapsing Ponzi scheme behaves in their final phrase. So we're trying to figure out where Christopher is, and that's where we're asking you for help. We do have one photo, his Instagram timeline. Well, not timeline. What do they call that thing? I don't have Instagram anymore. It's been shut down. I've forgotten what you call it when you you put your photos of the day up. Oh, we'll figure it out anyway. So what we think has happened, I'll just read it. There is I can't even we can read
Here
it.
is what we can state accurately and responsibly.
Okay, so here we go. Multiple independent sources report that Chris is currently in Dubai, so he's left the country. That's what we've heard. We can't confirm, we can't deny. Several reports that he's there with his girlfriend. She was there 2 days ago. We found that out. As I said, we're still trying to verify this. His disappearance has caused significant concern amongst investors. People are worried about he may not return to the United States. I'm worried that he might not return to the United States because I'm hoping he's going to get locked up in the next day or two. What else did we do? A CEO of a $500 million operation is reportedly offshore at the exact moment when payouts collapsed. Not a good look. That's a major red flag. Why investors should be concerned? The pattern is becoming clear. Missed payments, vague audit excuses, new banking delays, failing communication, offshore movements, no evidence of real revenue, short, empty webinars, increasing investor panic. And it's similar to other Ponzi schemes and scams that we've gone after in the past. I don't really want to go on about it too long, but we have been the crusader here. We have got, if you go to deheck.com, you can see, click on Goliath Ventures, and you can get everything that we have got. We've currently got 6 different government agencies going after them. We can't name all of them. I think we have named a lot of them, though. We've got the Homeland Security. I didn't know what the USSS stood for, but it's US Secret Service. We've got the FBI, the Security and Exchange Commission, which is, everyone knows that one, SEC, and also the IRS. And there's another one in there that we can't tell you, but similar sort of names, similar sort of thing, all concerned. Apparently, they're all working together as one, which we hope. And if you come to that page on our website and you go to the bottom, you can see that we've actually had a crusade of content, and we've been here every blow along the way. But let's get into the fun side of it. This is a letter. Now, I want to show you 3 letters that we received, and this is what... So just to be perfectly clear, in case you've just tuned in, this PDF here was received anonymously on the 12th of September. And we can't verify it's true. We can't prove it's come from Goliath Ventures, but in some ways it's quite comical, and I want to show it to you for that reason. And when I say it's comical, I'm not taking the piss out of anyone that's worried about losing the investment. It's just, this is the type of, I don't know if we can say it, but it's this type of content that we've received, and we have to make sure we can, verify it's true and accurate. Why we believe it might be, or could be, is looking at the format of this newsletter. Now, this letter here was saying it's for immediate release. We don't know who prepares his letters for him and actually sends them out, because he's the man. He's probably got somebody like a Nadia Bringus doing all his paperwork. But when you compare newsletter to newsletter, we do know for a fact that both of these newsletters were sent out to investors, and they are completely different. You can look at the logos, the width of the page. There's no consistent heading, and there's no consistent footer. They're similar, but they're not the same. So if you put those apples in the same basket, they're going to be different flavors, and that's what I'm saying. So I'm just trying to line them up, though. You can see that there's no real consistency when it comes to it. These are actually in different fonts and the like. And this one, just in case you're trying to read it, this is where they're saying that their banking partner, I think it was the 13th of May off memory, was actually Merrill Lynch Bank of America, the second largest bank in America. And now they're claiming that that bank isn't big enough to handle the growth of Goliath Ventures. And they've announced with full transparency that they're now moving to a different bank. In the spirit of transparency, we want to give you an update on a proactive step we're taking, partnering with new banking collaborators to optimize our deposit operations. I mean, if you read this letter, right, and then read the other letter I'm about to read, you would think it was written by the same person. But as I said, I don't feel right, stating that this is an official letter. Now, there is a few theories on this letter, and I'm probably going to go back to my notes and just going to go through them before we get stuck into it, because I don't really want to. What I found is when I put together my notes, I actually had a really good explanation of that letter and why it could be interesting. So I'm just going to see if I can find the initial correspondence I had, and let's see if I can go back to the start, because it did actually give me a breakdown of it. Right. So we'll actually read this one live, but it says a company like Goliath Ventures, auditing company. Oh, sorry. What am I saying here? So I wrote to it and asked.
The company like Goliath Ventures Incorporated auditing company, how long would it take to do the audits? And would it be likely that they freeze the accounts when they do the audit?
Yeah, so it was actually quite good. It talked about how it would only take 8 to 6 weeks. What would trigger an audit? It could be suspected fraud, Ponzi behavior, security violations, freezing accounts. Maybe it's not them who's doing the audit. In these cases, banks, payment processors, and government agencies can issue account freezes, hold notices, independent compliance demand, request for transaction records. And just quietly, I know something that I can't tell you, but I'm expecting that could be very true and genuine. And that's the truth of the matter. Then we went through the audit letter that we received, and it actually came up with a really, really cool breakdown of that whole letter and why it was mentioned. So I just want to read this because I think it was quite funny, and I do have it prepared in the background because I don't think I can read the whole lot. So I'm just going to do the first paragraph.
Dear partners, directors, and employees, Goliath Ventures, Incorporated, has retained a nationally recognized independent third-party accounting firm to assess the company's overall viability. The audit, analysis, and review are being conducted by a certified public accountant who is also a forensic accountant. This expert has been admitted as a forensic accounting specialist in both state and federal courts and has significant experience in the areas of bankruptcy, business planning, commercial disputes, economic damage analysis, fraud investigations, fraudulent conveyances, lost profit analysis, Ponzi scheme detection, and usury issues.
Yeah, so when we first read that letter, we thought, who the hell would send that out to the investors? So that waved red flags all over the place. We thought, surely Chris isn't that stupid. And then we were waiting for it. We were waiting for feedback. So potentially this could have been sent to a small group of people if it was real and genuine, and we don't know whether it is. But really, it is just, to me, it was absolutely just crazy. And also, the biggest red flag is they didn't name the accounting company who has all this brilliance. They didn't mention the name. Anyone in their right mind would say that we've got Lloyd's Bank of England doing an audit on our company, or they would name the company. And here, in the true spirit of transparency, they still didn't name the company, which is even weirder. Anyway, so then the second one.
The expert has been tasked with reviewing all of Goliath's assets under management, the surplus the company maintains, its insurance policies and fidelity bonds, the transactions conducted in its liquidity pools, and the manner in which Goliath fulfills partner redemptions with accrued compounded interest. Goliath will make its books fully available to the examiner as part of this review.
Somebody who's in there, somebody in the chat room saying something funny. I received something really funny today. We got this company who sent us an email, a letter in the mail, and it was kind of like receiving a, it was really weird. It was like sending, I don't even know how to explain it really. It was spam, but the old-fashioned in the mail letterbox stuff, which was absolutely crazy. And I've just got somebody in the chat room. I don't know who you are, but speaking of letters, down with BP. Is it Goosery? I don't know who they are, but that was the name of the company. It was a painter and decorating company that decided to send out printed spam. So we did a review on that company. I don't know. After all that, I got excited. I don't know. I haven't read the last part, so let's just read the last part.
Upon completion, Goliath will publish the independent examiner's findings in full. We at Goliath welcome this comprehensive review of our operations and are eager to share the results with you.
Yeah, so this was back, the dates are backwards for America, but this was on the 9th month and on the 11th. So as I said at the start, that most audits might take 8 to 16 weeks, well, maybe more. But if this was the letter sent out to the investors, or this is what they claim, this is like an exit strategy 101, absolutely bullshit, poos and wees, I tell you, it's just ridiculous. So we didn't publish that, we didn't put it online anywhere, but I went through and I found a whole lot of conversations we had with the Avengers, and I said, I've got to bring up that letter and just bring it up. But as you can see, if you look at the heading of that letter, even though it does say for immediate release, you wouldn't likely, that black is a phone number of Chris's. I didn't want to be straight. And then this is a normal newsletter. But then it would be cruel for me to say that this was official when their normal newsletters normally look like this or this, but even their own newsletters aren't consistent. So it doesn't make any sense. But if he's going to use that as an excuse, then we basically need to come out and find everything that we can to prove that an audit is not a reason to freeze investors' funds. Now, the only other thing I would like to show you, and it's probably I've got another court case coming up soon, and the person that is complaining about a blog I've got on my website that they want removed has accused me of, tried to insinuate to the judge that I have purchased fake LinkedIn users because I get so much time, so much traffic on my LinkedIn profile. So just to give you an idea, we have had up to, with our content, we have had up to 1 million views in 7 days. And you can see most people on LinkedIn will be lucky if you got I used to be lucky if I had 60 to 90 views on my LinkedIn profile every 3 months. So this is, I believe, every 7 days. This is how many people are viewing my profile. And it's mainly because we're exposing the Pakistani software houses at the moment, and we get a lot of Pakistani people. So I have had a major influx. I think I've got 14,000 connections now. But this morning I posted this, and I just thought that it sort of summarized the news. So if you want to get the latest news, please do go to LinkedIn and message us anything you like. We'll answer you there. But 500 million investment scam in Florida, just stop payouts. Okay, so that's my headline today. Investors are asking for their money and they're getting silence. Payouts due on the 14th, no. 115% of our money was never there. So they always talked about how they had 115% of the money locked up and secured. And when the crash of crypto happened, $380 billion in one day, the biggest crash ever, Christopher apparently didn't even flinch. And then they had the investors meeting, and he basically told everyone that everyone's money's fine. Don't worry, be happy, so to speak. So we're claiming that the scam is over. Christopher has fled to Dubai, we believe. We'd like some proof of that. We do have proof 2 days ago. This was a photo that was posted on his Instagram, and this is his girlfriend. Now, Christopher's still married and he's going through divorce hearings at the moment. Christopher's also bought 5 houses in Florida, we've heard. We do believe he's also got 2 houses in Dubai, and he's also got a black Ferrari that he cruises around. He's got a car collection worth about $4 million, all bought with your money. And also the girlfriend here, she's got a beautiful new handbag. He's allegedly spent $1 million on her in the last 12 months. He's also gone out partying where he's spent 6 figures on one night's worth of alcohol. And it's just absolutely disgusting. So there's other people that are endorsing his bad behavior. Christopher, got fired from In-N-Out Burgers for stealing Adele tickets for his wife at the time that he loved. We've got quite a few young ladies have come forward and said that they've had relationships with him, 8. So we've been told. Well, we haven't been told, but we want to verify the facts. We have had verifiable information that I keep forgetting her name, but we believe that she needs a dress that's a bit longer because it's not really covering her bottom, and her top is not really covering much. It might be really hot. Maybe she just come from the beach. I don't know. But anyway, what I'm getting at here, guys, is his new love of his life seems to be spending all the investors' money like it's water. And we have heard that she's in Dubai at the moment, and we have heard that there's 3 others. And we did hear another message, and it's all rumors, that Christopher has instructed all his team in the next 6 weeks to get their ass to Dubai. So that's a credible company, and it's just absolutely incredible. So as I was saying, the scam is over. Christopher has fled to Dubai. They are claiming the distributions have stopped because of the audit that has been carried out, but that's just nonsense, as I just mentioned. The payouts have stopped because it's a Ponzi scheme and there's no new money coming in. So if there's no money going out, there's going to be no money going in, you would assume. But I guarantee you that somebody will be messaging me tonight telling me that they just got pitched about investing in Goliath Ventures and they're just doing an audit, and somebody will offer to take your money, because all these Ponzi schemes and scams work the same way. The people who are promoting them are going after the commission. Now, we've heard that if you invest $100,000, you get 3% per month. Unheard of, right? And if that compounds, that's 60% per year return on your investment. If you invested over 500,000, then you're going to get 4% per month, which is unheard of and criminal. And the sad thing is they're going after retirement money. They're going after, pension money, firemen's. That's why we had to go at Steve Davis yesterday, because he was a fireman. He's claiming he's been a fireman for 12 years and now he's a hero, and he's come out and published a book, and it's absolutely crazy. But anyway, as I said, Chris, wonder if he will come back to Orlando and face the music. So we found out that the original scam is called My Liquidity Partners, and it's a mirror-to-mirror scam. And Verlin, well, he's theoretically, I don't know, we never did really get proof of this, but he got sentenced 2 years in prison. But we've got no proof he's actually in prison. And I heard another rumor that he's actually in Dubai. It's not going to work. What did I say? I'm going to have to read some of this because I'm a bit perplexed. A lot of information to get out in a short video, and that's all this is.
You can't pull a Verlin. It's not going to work. Andy has signed on many of the bank accounts. US government will put her in prison for a long time.
Yeah. So think, Chris, unlike Verlin's wife, your wife played an active role in massive fraud scheme. So if you don't know, Christopher did just buy a house, what we believe, for his wife, and she's still married to him legally because they haven't got a divorce. They're still doing divorce proceedings. Think about David Scott Stewart, and I can't read that fancy name. This must be
Alexandra Guadalupe.
Look, be a man, Chris. Come back, face the music. Here you are claiming to be a good guy. Look, we've proved that you're anything but a good guy. And, like I did yesterday, when you look at all these blogs that we've done, if we were to just go back, we first of all looked at their contracts. The contracts were just crap. I think we might even have more posts now. We have to, oh yeah, there we go. So Goliath Ventures, their contracts were just shocking. Their own sword, as I believe they will fall on them. They had fake audits already. They've claimed that Matt Burke was independent and Matt Burke was going to do audits on the company. That was just a total lie. Then we had, we looked at the compliance illusion. They were claiming that we were trying to run a smear campaign. Danny DeHeck from the bottom of the earth was decided just to get out of bed one morning and do a smear campaign on the company. It wasn't true. We investigated them, and we've investigated them as a Ponzi scheme. There's no doubt about it. Then we've got, we found out that the bookkeeper, they just had a bookkeeper running the company, but she closed her company down on the 2nd of September and reopened it in Wyoming. Christopher shut down his company on the 3rd of September as well. So Goliath Ventures Inc., if you look up the records, you can see that Goliath Ventures Inc. has actually closed the company down on the 3rd of September. We responded to their cease and desist letter. We put that public. We were crying out to investors. I bet you wish you listened to us now to pull your money out where you can. And people were pulling their money out and getting their money out. And some of them were telling us that it was been pending. And if you don't know how pyramids work, normally you look after the hand that feeds you. So anyone that's associated to any big investor, they would have been given the money out. Other people were having their money pending. And other people were telling us that to have their account open, they had to pay a fee that they never heard about, nor was in the original contract. Then you've got, we researched to see if they had Vincent registration. They have nothing. They have no registration, no money handle licenses, whether they're decentralized or centralized. They have no licenses to handle people's money. And then we had, we talked about clawbacks and how people had to, if you have received money, we have been in touch with a few investors at the moment, and we're encouraging them to get a lawyer, because if they seize the money, they're not just going to seize the money you made, they will seize the whole entire money that you invested as part of evidence, so they can repay the investors. So if you've invested $100,000 and you've pulled out $115,000, then they're not just going to seize the $15,000, they're going to seize the $115,000. That means it could also mean that your company could be seized and you won't be able to trade until they finish unraveling the crap that Christopher's got everyone in. Unregistered security problem. Are your contracts worth anything? Here's Christopher going off to Munich Beer Festival again. What a real investment fund company would actually look like. Who's still profiting from being involved? We did blogs about that. Goliath Ventures, we talk about the connection with, and this was the real big one that you really want to watch if you haven't been keeping up. My Liquidity Partners and Goliath Ventures, both their domain names were registered about 20 days apart, and that was and that's been through SEC. And Verlin, as we mentioned, has been sentenced 2 years in prison. And you've got Nick, who's in that photo on the right. He was also involved in another company. Christopher claims that he's had 2 companies listed on NASDAQ or publicly listed, but there's no proof of that. It's just bullshit. Tyler Peters, well, that's worth a crack up. Have a listen to that video. He rings up basically fishing for information. And then next minute we find that he's in Munich with Chris, drinking up, celebrating. And then we talk about Goliath versus Danny versus Goliath. How Goliath is trying to sue a journalist for reporting the truth. And that's me, in case you can figure that out. The dirty tactics, how they actually have gone to YouTube and tried to get my videos removed by doing fake copyright strikes. I've had 8 copyright strikes in the last 6 weeks. We've only got one that's pending, waiting for them to take us to federal court for my right to have my videos on the internet. A video like this has been reported as copyright. And then I have to wait 15 days for YouTube to put it back online. We've fought all those, we've won them all, and it's absolutely crazy. And then we talked about how Chris didn't flinch when crypto crashed. Crypto lost $380 billion in one day, and a company that is 100% crypto based didn't flinch, didn't worry, didn't need to, because it's a Ponzi scheme. But now the truth's come out and all the money is frozen. We hope that people haven't lost their money, and we hope that we've got it wrong. But I've been doing this for 5 years, and every single Ponzi scheme has an excuse, and they use the blame game. You wouldn't believe it. And then they come along, they offer me $150,000 to shut up. That was the most amazing one. They brought their lawyers in with a lawyer's letter claiming they'll pay me $150,000 for me to remove all my videos. Then we had whistleblowers come forth who weren't whistleblowers. They were just trying to protect their own ass. And one of the recent blogs that we've just done recently was about how they were switching banks. All these signs are major red flags. The breeze is actually taking the hair off my face. It's so breezy from here. It's absolutely amazing. And then we had the last blog we just did yesterday was about Stephen Davis, who walked out of the firehouse and straight into a financial furnace. And he was actually, what he did is, and this is absolutely amazing. Now, he's the chief administrator for Goliath Ventures, and they do these sponsored posts. So the Business Insider magazine, and it says from firefighter chief to entrepreneur. And here's the photo of Steve Davis that he supplied. This isn't an editorial. I was just, before I went live today, I was actually talking to a reporter in a major magazine, and they were asking me about this. We've actually reached out to 70 major magazines. Now, well, they won't report much until the courts step in. However, when you see articles like this on the internet, some people aren't savvy enough to actually realize that this is a sponsored advert. You go to the bottom of this article and it says the market insiders and business insider editorial teams were not involved in the creation of this post. Now, in here, he mentioned that he was part of some charities, and I think it's worth saying that we reached out to those charities and confirmed that this is bullshit. So this part where he's claiming that he's part of some sort of charity and he's doing some noble act is bullshit. So far we've heard this is true. So this is why we've gone after him. So you can see Steve Davis sitting here in his cruddy Porsche. I've taken the piss out of him, but you can see me sitting here in front of the same Porsche. I don't even think if I got wealthy enough, I'd want a Porsche. And I even got Pixel sitting there looking pretty snazzy in his no scam fighting wolf gear. So that's probably about it, really. I just want to say I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. Some people accuse us in some ways of being like dream stealers. But come on, guys. Here's a company that claims that they're built on everything to do with crypto. You've got a guy that has got more experience flipping burgers than he has been a crypto investor. He's associated with criminals that have been incarcerated for their involvements in Ponzi schemes. We've done deep analysis of the Ponzi scheme called Goliath Ventures Inc. And we've gone over and found an identical Ponzi scheme called My Liquidity Partners. And we've found that the same people that were involved in that scam were actually involved. So you can see here he's got him shaking hands with Kash Patel, which is the head of the FBI. Here you've got him hanging out with rappers with $2,000 bottles of champagne on his head. They've got the flash cars to go with it. Where's all this money come from? It comes from people, good, hardworking firemen who have put their money into this because they've built those communities and those networks around them where people believe, the brotherhood, the old alpha, eh? Here, this is a photo. This is the guy with the glasses on here. Ooh, hold it. The guy with the glasses on here, don't too many of those around here anymore. He's the one that's been locked up for 2 years. Got no proof he's in prison though. And then we've got Nick Patel. Is it Patel? I hope I got that right. And then he had his 2 bookkeepers. Same, but different. And you come down here a bit more, you've got more spinning bottles. Everyone's having a great old time. Lots of jet rides, but where's the money come from? These boys are having a good old time. We've got Romo. Is it R-O-M-I? Now, we've got photos of him arm in arm with Christopher, and then we've got photos of him arm in arm with the Alexander brothers, who have been accused of doing heinous acts to women, drugging them. So these are the circles that these guys hanging out. Now, I'll be very clear. I don't know if Romy has been involved in doing that. I don't know. But I can tell you that my mum told me that bad associations spoil useful habits. Now, here he is 1 minute hanging around guys, the Alexander brothers. Just do a search on the internet for the Alexander brothers and think, would you want to be in photos with them too? And then, after listening to Christopher, and how he's been running this large Ponzi scheme. Would you want to be associated with him? This guy here, he used to be in our chat room. He used to be in the chat room every time I went live on the internet, would have someone, hurling abuse at us. This is Jason J. Newton, second from the right. And he's a Canadian guy. $120 million, we believe he's brought in for Goliath Ventures, Inc. Are you an investor? Someone in Canada? Well, this guy here has been taking your money. Have you rung him lately? Hey, look, guys, what can you do? What can you do about it? Well, you can reach out to us anonymously. As we said, we like to verify all our facts. We can't get it right 100% of the time. But I think even if you took one of those facts that I've mentioned, you want to come to our website, click on the Contact Us button, and then start providing us any information you've got. 100% anonymous. We don't really, we're not really trying to come after you guys who are providing us information. I don't think I said that right, but we're not here to out whistleblowers. But if you want to be a true whistleblower, don't come to us like some people have and ask us for the government agency to talk to them so you can see how close you are to being involved with a major scam. Trust me, you want to provide us everything you know about this company. We have currently got over 130 persons of interest. These are investors. These are people that are associating, people that are benefiting from the money that Christopher Diego, I always get that name wrong, so I don't even think I'm going to get it right, that Christopher's been going after. He's been given to charities. He's been pushing his way into the White House, would you believe? He went there for a dinner for Fentanyl Day. He stood up, made an ass of himself and said he's going to pledge $2 million to Jackie Segal's charity. A week later, here he is sending out images claiming that he was in the White House for Crypto Day because he's a crypto investor, right? He paid $1 million to stand up on the stage with Patrick Ben-David. He had an event called Vault 2025. He got the naming rights. He had to pay $1 million for it. All the Goliath people turned up. And here he is on the stage telling people that he wants to help people get a passive income. And he's doing liquidity trading and doing pancake swaps. You just had to watch what he said when he got the mic. He should have rehearsed. He should have got some professional coaching on what to say, because he certainly did not sound like a company that can give you 60% return per year if you give him $100,000. People who had invested, like a lot of the firemen I know that were investing $50,000, were squeezed to up it to $100,000. We've got video evidence of them telling everyone that invested under $100,000 they didn't want them anymore. We've got documents, contracts where they were telling people that the minimum investment, if they invested under mywealthmd.com, that they would need to invest a minimum of $250,000, and they would be paying out 2% per month. And they were doing this because they were going after the retirement money from people. So your mum and dad that are retired and they have their money in the bank, they were going after that money. People who are firemen who get their pension, they were going after that money. A lot of retired people, when they lose all their funds, they lose everything. They can't go out and get a new job. So this guy, Christopher, needs to be stopped. And I'm going to stop him. Thanks for watching.